everything's gone now. I don't have anything left.
What if one day, at the very height of your success, when the world knows your name, when the lights are the brightest, you simply walk away? No press conference, no public meltdown, no drama. You just disappear. That's exactly what Rick Moranis did. From Ghostbusters to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Spaceballs to Little Shop of Horrors. He was one of the most beloved and bankable stars of the 1980s and early 90s. Then suddenly, he was gone. In an industry where fame is everything, Rick Moranis made the ultimate countercultural move. He left Hollywood to raise his kids. But who is Rick Moranis really? Why did he walk away from the spotlight? And what happened during the 2 decades when the world barely heard a word from him? This is the story of Rick Moranis, his rise, retreat, and quiet return. Rick Moranis wasn't born a star. He was born Richard Moranis on April 18th, 1953 in Toronto, Canada. No movie connections, no acting lineage. Just a smart, funny, Jewish kid with a knack for comedy and a curiosity about the world. His first break didn't come on a stage or in front of a camera. It came behind a microphone. In the 1970s, Moranis worked as a disc jockey for Canadian radio. Under the name Rick Allen, he spun records on Toronto's airwaves, developing his timing, wit, and warm delivery. It was here that Moranis began honing the skills that would one day make him a comedy icon, but it wasn't until he joined the cast of Second City Television, SCTV, that the world began to take notice. At SCTV, Moranis quickly became a standout talent. With collaborators like John Candy, Eugene Levy, and Catherine O'Hara, he helped define a new era of sketch comedy. But it was Bob and Doug McKenzie, 2 beer-drinking, back-bacon-loving Canadian brothers, that truly launched Moranis into the spotlight. The sketch was originally a tongue-in-cheek jab at Canadian content regulations, but it became a pop culture juggernaut. So popular, in fact, that Bob and Doug got their own film, Strange Brew, in 1983. It was absurd, hilarious, and a cult hit. This wasn't Hollywood superstardom, not yet, but it was coming. After Strange Brew, the floodgates opened. In 1984, Rick Moranis joined the ensemble cast of Ghostbusters, a film that would define the decade. His role as Louis Tully, the nerdy, awkward neighbor-turned-demonic host, was originally written for John Candy, but Moranis made it his own. Audiences loved him. He brought something different to the screen, a unique blend of sincerity, awkwardness, and warmth. He wasn't the smooth-talking leading man. He was the outsider, the underdog, the guy you couldn't help but root for. In 1986, he starred in Little Shop of Horrors, where he played Seymour, the shy florist who sings duets with Ellen Green and feeds people to a carnivorous plant. He nailed it, acting, singing, and all. Then came Spaceballs in 1987. Mel Brooks' Star Wars parody introduced Moranis as Dark Helmet, a character so ridiculous, so cartoonishly evil that it could have fallen flat. But instead, it became one of his most iconic roles. And then came Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Released in 1989, the Disney family comedy became a monster hit. Moranis played Wayne Selinsky, the absent-minded scientist who accidentally shrinks his children and launches them into a backyard adventure. It was the highest-grossing live-action Disney film at the time. Sequels followed. So did Parenthood, My Blue Heaven, The Flintstones, Little Giants. Year after year, Rick Moranis delivered hit after hit. By the early 90s, he was on top of the world. But not everything was as it seemed. While Rick Moranis was making audiences laugh around the world, tragedy was unfolding at home. His wife, Ann Belsky, a costume designer, was diagnosed with breast cancer in the late 1980s. The couple had 2 young children. As her condition worsened, Moranis tried to balance his booming career with his responsibilities as a father and husband. In 1991, Ann passed away. Rick Moranis was suddenly a widower and a single dad. It changed everything. In a rare interview with Vanity Fair, he explained, "I was working with really interesting people, wonderful people. I went from that to being at home with a couple of kids, which was the farthest thing from that, but it was important to me. He didn't make a big announcement. He didn't use it for publicity. He just stopped. He turned down scripts. He pulled out of projects. And by the late 90s, he had all but disappeared from Hollywood. Unlike other stars who step back but remain in the limelight, Rick Moranis truly vanished. He retreated to a quiet life in New York City, raising his children away from cameras, tabloids, and red carpets. He became a full-time father, a role he considered more important than any movie. During this time, he still dabbled in creative projects, releasing 2 comedy music albums, You, Me, The Music and Me in 1989, and My Mother's Brisket and Other Love Songs in 2013, and doing voice work in animated films like Brother Bear. But he was selective. In 2016, he famously declined to appear in the Ghostbusters reboot, telling The Hollywood Reporter, "It just didn't appeal to me. I wish them well, but it makes no sense to me to do just one day of shooting." His absence wasn't about ego. It wasn't about money. It was about principle. He didn't want to act unless it meant something. And truthfully, and he didn't need to, he had already won. In 2020, something amazing happened. Rick Moranis returned to the screen, not in a blockbuster or a sequel, but in a quirky Mint mobile commercial with Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds introduced him by saying, "We all need more Rick Moranis." It was true. The commercial was brief, but it meant everything to fans. Social media lit up. Memes, tributes, retrospectives. People weren't just excited to see him, they were emotional. Later that year, Disney made the big announcement. Moranis would return as Wayne Selinsky in a new reboot of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, titled simply Shrunk. Josh Gad would play his son. Moranis was back. Rick Moranis has always been more than just a funny guy. He was and is a storyteller, a family man, a cultural icon. He redefined what it meant to be a leading man in Hollywood. He didn't fit the mold, and that's exactly why he worked. He was real, authentic. You saw your dad in him, your teacher, your neighbor, yourself. He made nerdy cool long before it was fashionable. He made kindness heroic. And then he made the bravest move of all, he left. Because to him, being present for his children meant more than being present on a movie set. Rick Moranis didn't just walk away from Hollywood, he walked into a fuller life. One filled with school runs, homework, music, home-cooked dinners, life's quiet but meaningful moments. He didn't trade fame for silence. He traded fame for something far more valuable, presence. And in doing so, he became a different kind of legend. At 71 years old, he's still the same man. Thoughtful, funny, humble, and entirely uninterested in the fame game. His legacy isn't just on screen, it's in the lives he impacted, the fans he inspired, and the family he raised. Rick Moranis didn't vanish, he just chose something better. Thanks for watching. If Rick Moranis made you laugh, cry, or feel like being a better human, let us know in the comments below. What was your favorite Moranis role? Was it Ghostbusters? Spaceballs? Honey? I Shrunk the Kids? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the lives behind the legends. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and stay human.